10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Coming soon. Snake River Manufacturing is developing a revolutionary new way to design and build a custom kayak trailer. This modular design lets you customize your trailer one piece at a time, allowing you to grow as you go.
You know, a lot of folks think gorillas can't read. But when the magazine's this good, even I had to subscribe.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for episode 33 of the Kayak Cafe, brought to you by Snake River Manufacturing. If you get an opportunity, please go to snakerivermanufacturing.us and see all of the cool items that Steve and his family of engineers are putting together over there. They're making some great kayak trailers that are going to revolutionize and are revolutionizing the kayak industry's transportation options. This is also brought to you by Viking Kayaks. Viking Kayaks USA have some great options for those people that want to get back into the paddling and dominating the salt water. So get an opportunity, go check them out. So in this episode, I have the opportunity to speak with a gentleman who was nice enough to be part of one of the magazine issues. He's a veteran. He's an angler. He is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to fishing. And we're going to have a great conversation and hopefully hear some cool stories about some of his adventures. So let me go ahead and bring him without further ado. This is Eloy Custodio.
How you guys doing?
How's it going? Did I get the name right?
Yes, sir. Eloy Custodio. Yes. Thank you. Very good job.
I try. My last name's Widgeon, and I've been called everything. So my favorite was I called into a hunting magazine and I said, my last name's Widgeon. And I said, you need me to spell it? He said, no, I've shot a couple. I was like, that's where grandma went, you know?
Right.
So for those that don't know you, if you wouldn't mind, Eloy, would you give like a brief rundown of who you are and what you do?
Yes, sir. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity. It's finally good to meet you. We've been chatting back and forth through social media, and thank you for this opportunity. But yeah, I was born in Puerto Rico. I was raised between there and California for most of my life, and then in 1998, I joined the Navy. I did 20 years in the Navy. I retired about 6 years ago. And then within those 6 years, I went to school. I had a job doing low voltage work until I decided to start guiding full time. So that's kind of a quick, in a nutshell, my life real quick there.
Awesome. So what got you into kayak fishing?
The funny thing is, it's COVID is what really got me into it. I owned a kayak. I was lucky enough to be stationed in Hawaii for 10 years when I was in the military, and during that time I did own a kayak out there. But I was doing a lot more deep sea fishing out of boats back then, so I wasn't really involved in the kayak fishing. But when I moved here, they closed a lot of fishing spots during COVID. And I knew that I always was out in my fishing spots and I would see people in kayaks and I'd be like, well, you know what? They're still going out in kayaks. They can't stop me there. So I did that. I bought my first kayak in April of 2020 here in Florida, and then off to the races. I started then volunteering with some of the veterans, like the hat that you're wearing, one of those groups. I did a few things with them, a few different local ones here. And I started volunteering as a guide there to kind of train myself to see if I really wanted to do this. And I really enjoyed it. I've always wanted to be a teacher, but I don't want to be a teacher because I don't want to be in school. But this is a good way that I can teach, and it's something that I enjoy doing. I love doing it.
So what was the first kayak you bought?
So So the first pedal drive kayak I bought was a Pelican 110 HD. That thing lasted, unfortunately, about a month. I had a lot of issues with it. You know, I'm not here to badmouth people, but that kayak was very untrustworthy. So then I ended up trading that one back in, and I got a Hobie Compass.
Mhm.
A 2020 Hobie Compass was my first Hobie, and after that, I think the second one we got was a Pro Angler, and it's off to the races. Now we own Hobie Compasses, Pro Anglers, Outbacks, and Autopilots now.
Oh, Chuck Earl says you're the man.
I haven't met Chuck yet either. I'm dying to meet him too. I know he guides up north, up where
When
it's
you go visit
cold.
him, just swing by and pick me up. We'll go together.
All right, that's a plan.
So when you were fishing and you said you did some volunteering with organizations, at what point did you decide that you wanted to like take it full tilt?
Well, so I was we were trying to figure out what I wanted to do. We knew we wanted to start a business, and by we I mean
Hmm.
me and my wife. She's very involved in this. You know what? Everything that you don't see, she's doing. You know what I mean? That's what I tell everybody. Uh, but I just start. You know, we figured that that's the route we wanted to go to, and we just went off to the races, and we committed to it. We gave ourselves a certain amount of time to make some money. To if we didn't see profit by this year, based on people's information, we asked a lot of people that have done it before. When did you see returns? A lot of charter captains I
Hmm.
talked to, and I just gathered all that information, and we went off from there. Now you can ask Chat GPT what to
Yeah.
do though. So I wish that was around 5 years ago.
So when you were chatting with the, I'm always interested with this because, like we were talking earlier, I own a photo studio, and there was a lot of gatekeeping with people with how to do things. Did
Mhm.
you run into that with the fishing industry?
I ran into both. I think it's like any industry. You run into people that are very helpful, and you run into people that
Hmm.
are not. And the reality is I think that the further they are away from you, the more they tend to
Hmm.
help. Um, you know what I
Out of your
mean?
market.
It's just I believe that's part of it. It's the reality of
Hmm.
being a
That's
human.
true. What's your favorite
Yeah.
spot to go? And then they see you there, like, no.
All right. Right.
Yeah, well, that's what the funny thing was with the photo studio was I would ask somebody, "How do you do that?" And they're like, mm, it takes a long time." They would not blatantly say they're not going to tell me, but they were
Right.
like, "It takes time." So then I would have to do the flattery, like, "Oh man, Eloy, that's a big fish. I could never catch that fish." And you're like, "Sure you can. This is all you got to do."
Right.
So then I'm in the background,
Right.
like, what? Yep, yep,
And I think asking specific questions also is better. Like when people ask me, "Hey, how do you start a charter?" Like that is a loaded
right,
question. But like the example you use about fish is like if you come to me and say, "Hey, what is your trick for
hmm,
redfish?" All right, now we can dial in on one fish instead of, "Hey, how do you
right.
catch fish?" That's a very open-ended question right there. So I think that helps a lot, especially with me. Like people that have asked me questions, the best way that I give an answer is if you ask me a specific question on the business itself. Like, hey, what insurance company do you guys use? What marketing worked for you or what didn't work for
So,
you?
what challenges did you hit along the way? Are there any that stick out to you?
The biggest one for us was
Mm,
Hurricane Ian because it stopped everything for 6 months. We didn't see another client. This place was devastated. This was pretty much where the eye went right through here. So that was the biggest challenge for us. That slowed everything down because it pushed everything that we had, all our dates, all our plans, to the right more. Uh, it's going to take a little longer to get to where we
mm.
wanted to. That was the biggest one for me. And then 2 years later, another hurricane came, and that one wasn't as bad, but it still affected us because people don't come here if there's disaster. There's people are still recovering. it took a while for people to start vacationing back down here, but it's getting better
Do
now.
you have any insurance that covers stuff like that? Like the no, yeah, because
No.
that's the hard thing. People just they may or may not know that like when there's no work, there's no money. So
Right.
yeah.
There's a I know for the charter captains, I think captains for Clearwater did
Hmm.
some stuff, and I think there was some stuff from the state, but specifically for us, we didn't qualify for anything, and we didn't. So we had to find alternative means. Luckily, for my wife also works too, so we have all kinds of stuff coming in. Hopefully that keeps
Yeah.
up.
Are you able to, because where kayaks are mobile, are you able to go to another port and go out of another port maybe, or
Yeah, so we did try to do some of that, but again, for Ian, my house was a disaster
okay.
as well. So I had to get my house. I didn't have water in my house for I think almost 21
Wow.
days. So yeah, yeah. So we were still just trying to get everything back together, and we did do some trips that were a little bit out. But again, that affected so much of Southwest Florida. It was almost all the way from Chokoloskee to Tampa that was affected. All those waters there, but absolutely, we could have 100% done that. You
Yeah,
know.
and babe, that was more of an event than I was where it hit you. I was thinking more of like a not as bad as you're describing. Yeah, that's not where my mind was going. So yeah, if
Right.
it's that bad, get your house fixed first. Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this guy's trying to send me to another port.
There was a
He's
lot of
like,
things going
I
on.
didn't have
Yep.
water. I was like, I don't care about your port.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
We got kids too, so that's the real
mhm,
thing. We got to take care of the
yeah,
kids.
that's sometimes the hard part is making it feel to them like it's not as bad as it is. Like, we have
Right.
no power.
Exactly.
No, we're
Absolutely.
camping.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've always wanted to show you this water filtration trick.
There you go.
So, what
Absolutely.
does a typical day look like for a guide for you? Um,
So I pretty much start the night before. I prep everything the night before and make sure everything's ready. That's usually how I make sure I don't forget anything if I start the
mhm,
day before. I make if I sometimes I'll have to call them specifically when they call and say, "Hey, I want to learn to do this and that," or I want to bring my own kayak. I want to use my own equipment. So I'll call them and set them say, "Hey, this is how I would set up for tomorrow. If you want, if you want to use my rods, they're always ready. I bring stuff ready for them no matter
mhm,
what, whether they bring their stuff or not. But we go over that. We talk about the weather, and then in the morning, the first thing I do is look at the radar just to make sure. And then I look at everything else. I already know what the tide's doing because I already looked the day before. And then I just start loading up, go to the bait shop, get ready, and then wait for them to come there. Once they get there, then the first 30 minutes, I'm trying to really figure out how good they are and what their ability level is, as soon as I can, because that'll tell me where we can go. Because even if I have a plan on where we can go, it can all change based on someone that shows up that I know won't be able to get to the spot that I want to get
mhm.
to. They physically won't be able to get over there. So we have to change everything. They're learning how to fish, and what I was planning on doing is a little more advanced. So we have to slow down everything a little bit.
Yeah. So the assessment. Yeah, I can imagine you have to do a lot of judgment calls real quick. Do you have like a onboarding process where you try to sort of like what I did with the magazine, like a questionnaire where you're like, how long have you been fishing? You know, do you?
I kind of do that either with the phone call before, and again, my wife also, when she's booking these trips, most of the time she's talking to them one on one. It's
Mhm,
Most of our bookings are phone calls. We have the ability for you to just book now on our website, but most people want to talk to us to see exactly what they get out of it, and she knows how to gather that information from them too. So she'll let me know, hey, these guys say this. But
Hmm.
again, I still have to self-analyze, because the guy that tells me he fished for 15 years and I see his cast, I know he hasn't been fishing for 15 years, you know? Like, we have a lot to do today.
Yeah. She's like, Eloy, I just got off the phone with Roy. He's breathing heavy. You're fishing by the dock.
But you
Yeah.
you have your own kayak, right? You have
Hmm.
motorized?
Yes.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got the new Canoe Unlimited with a motor and um, a nice little Bixby motor that I absolutely love and gets me around where I need to go. So,
Yep. Yeah,
but
it's the wave of the future. It's motors is going. That's where it's going now.
Country Kids Outdoors is another podcast. He said that he's in West Palm Beach. He could have stopped by and done it in person.
Oh, there we go.
But he said if you bring dinner, you may be able to squeeze in another one tonight.
Oh, there you go. See, I'm
So,
not in Jupiter though. See, that's the we're in Southwest Florida.
mm,
Jupiter's my daughter's name. That's why we named
ah,
Jupiter. Yep. So it's a little confusing. It was a little confusing in the beginning. The first like year or two, we would get a couple of people that wanted to fish over there. We're like, that's not us, but we barely get that anymore now.
so with the guiding, what has been the most rewarding part of it?
I mean, again, like I wanted to be a teacher, and it's teaching someone to fish. You know,
Hmm.
the old saying, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for the rest of his life. And uh, I see a lot of my customers or clients, and now friends, some of them, they post pictures, and now they're being successful way beyond me. I got one of the guys. He's in the Florida Redfish series, kicking butt and taking names over there now. And I remember his first, kayak trip, and he was hooked. So I think it's getting people to like kayak fishing, to
Hmm.
see how rewarding. For me, it's like a mental, reset. As soon as I get on the water, it's one of the few things that, when you're fighting a fish, you forget about everything else that's going on in your life. So, I like to see people's faces when, if they were stressed thinking about something, because they're talking to me about everything in those 5 hours. Uh, and they hook into a 25, 30-inch red, they forgot about all their issues all of a sudden, you know?
Yeah, I like to say it's a lot like riding a motorcycle. I don't know if you've ever ridden a motorcycle or not, but it's when you're on the motorcycle, you're so focused on not crashing,
Right.
everything else sort of melts away.
Yes. Yeah, there's very few things in life that you can do where it's you blank out from everything else and you're focused on that, especially nowadays with everything, you know?
Yes. So let me ask you this. So with the photo studio, we do photo classes, and I like the aha moments. I call it like you have someone who's like, I've had this camera, doesn't I don't know how to use it, and they just go through, and all of a sudden it clicks. They're like, oh wow. So with you, do you have those moments when they catch the fish? But my question to you is, do you ever feel like that level of pressure? Because you're totally dependent on weather, tides, fish. You have so many things that I mean, you've got your skill set, but at times they may not just be there. Do you go out with a certain level of stress or
Always.
always?
Ev- Always. Every day. I mean, I tried the night before to really get tired the day before so that I can sleep well. Because if not, I'm stressed about thinking about it. But
Hmm.
again, I kind of like it because it keeps me focused. I know that I want to do well, and that's why I'm nervous about it. The day I wake up and I don't care, I think that then I should not be doing it anymore. The fact that I wake up, I'm nervous. I'm nervous until they catch a fish, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I'm nervous until sometimes they catch the fish that I want them to catch. You know, there's a lot of times where they say, "Oh, that was great. I had a great time," which is a lot of times where in my mind I'm like, "Man, we could have done way better today. We could have done this. I should have went over there. I should have done this." But again, all that is learning lessons for my next trip anyway. So I think
Mm.
that's what keeps me coming back and getting better every time. But yes, it's stressful every time. I get anxiety every time I take out someone, and I think a little bit of it is okay. You know, it keeps me moving forward, I think.
Right. And I wonder, like, internalizing the, because that's the hardest part, is when you know you could have done something different, is you kind of want to say like, we should have done this. Because if it's me and you going and we're just boys fishing, you could at the
Right.
end of the day go, we should have hit that rock over there because I guarantee you they're there. But you
Yep.
don't want to say that at the end of the fishing trip, because
Right.
you're their expectations are here. You've
Yeah.
given them here, but your expectations are up here.
Right. Yeah,
So
because I know
you,
what a great day is. You know what I mean? I know what a great, outstanding day is versus everything else. You know what I mean? So
hmm
my standard is, my bar is up high,
right.
because I know what a great day out there is, where you're 2 hours you're catching redfish and you have to take breaks because your arm hurts. You know,
Yes.
that's a great day.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was thinking. Like, um, it's almost like when you see someone who gets their first bike. They've been
Yeah.
walking to work for 2 years. You give them a bike, and they're like, "It's a bike," and you're like,
Right.
"Yeah, have you ever seen a car?"
Yeah.
Cars are so much better, but
Right. Exactly.
everyone
Yeah.
has their own level of excitement and pleasure. So, um, do you have?
Everybody.
Do you how many what kayaks do you have in your fleet, and how many do you have?
We have two compasses, an Outback, an autopilot. Um, we have access to three pro anglers, and we're about to add another pro angler. So we're gonna have four pro anglers, and that's it. But I want to shift things around this year. I really
Mhm.
like my autopilot. There's a lot of new things coming out, and I think that's one of the things you have to do to stay on the edge in this business for sure, is keep changing and move on, to other things, especially for the inshore. Like, these motors are giving you so much more range nowadays.
Mhm.
And when it's 5 hours that I have, sometimes I wish we had motors already. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's something that I'm thinking about. And I know Chuck has motors on all of his, but he's out in the lakes covering a lot of miles.
Yeah, he's got.
Uh, yeah.
They would be dead if they paddled that far. Like,
Right.
did you catch anything? Nope. Just
Right,
a
right.
heart attack.
Yeah, yeah. They're in a different environment. I think most trips we don't go, round trip is like the max is 7 miles most of the time. And I try to keep it less than that most of my trips,
hmm
where we cover 7 miles or less.
So do you have anything motorized down the autopilot? You said, right?
Yep, just the autopilot right now. But I know we were talking earlier. I'm really thinking about adding a Bixby motor, just to
hmm
at least have one and see how that goes, and eventually probably all of them.
Do you tow people out if you had someplace that you knew they were going to be and it's a long way? Do you tow them out and tow them in?
Sometimes we'll do that. I'll get them out there most of the time, but I mean, sometimes paddling out there is all part of the process too. So
Right.
I'll do that specifically, maybe if people are searching for tarpon and we're
hmm
trying to get there early in the morning. But besides that, I really don't try to do that, because the last thing I want to do is me run out of juice out there.
Right.
The autopilot is not a fun kayak to paddle. I've had to do it, and it is not fun.
Um, with your with the autopilot, is that takes any battery, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Not
yep.
a brand specific.
No, no, you can buy anyone.
Um, so what species do you most target with your clients?
I really like, when people come out with us, I try to catch all three of the inshore slam. Pretty much is what we call down here, which is a redfish, a snook, and a trout. That's what I try to do for everybody throughout the day. That's always my goal, because a lot of people have never done that. If someone comes and say, "Hey, I just want to focus on redfish," we try to do that. If they're not biting at that time, I talk to them about that. Say, hey, look, we're gonna go to some areas where redfish are usually hanging out. You can look at it to see if you can match these areas, with where you're at. But if they're not there, that doesn't mean they're not going to be there another day. We
Right.
talk about the process of, hey, sometimes they're there because of this, or this, and sometimes they're not. Um, but yeah, I try to get a red snook trout. Right now, there's tarpon around, so of course, if we get out early enough, and I talk to them about that because tarpon are very time consuming.
Hmm.
If you get around tarpon and 2 hours, 3 hours goes like that, and you've only had one hookup, so they have to be willing to know that, hey, after that, we're very limited on time on what we can do after this. So, yeah.
Do you make them sound this is what's going to happen, what may happen? If we sit there all day, then that's just what happens.
Yeah, no, I haven't had any issues. Like, I won't let a trip just go to waste. I'll talk. We'll talk about it. Like, hey, look, we've been at this for 2.5 hours. I know you want to tarpon. Do you
Hmm.
want to keep trying, or do you want to go catch a fish? That's what we're going to talk about now, and we usually have that conversation. As long as you have conversations with them out there, and make them feel like they're part of the decision, which they're not really, but they think they are. That's the key.
uh, Earlier, I was like trying to remember what I was going to ask you. I remembered with the motors. So let's say you get a motorized fleet. Do you anticipate there's going to be a learning curve for people?
That is the main reason I haven't put motors on there, because it does add something else now. So now I have to spend a little more time explaining that too. And sometimes it's harder for people than just to get on and kick your feet. That's a lot easier than having to learn this button and when to turn it on and off and all this. It's one of the main reasons I don't put many people on my autopilot. Most of the people that I put on the autopilot, I talk to them prior and they have experience with trolling motors. Some of them are prior charter captains or current charter captains. I
Hmm.
know those guys are comfortable, but when you go out there on, like, on autopilot, you don't, most of your day you're looking down at a remote instead of looking out at your environment, you know.
Right.
And I try to teach more of, pay attention to your environment over anything. Another reason I have no sonar on my kayaks, we
Mm.
had one time, and every time I put someone on there, all they would do is talk about what they were seeing on their sonar. Hey, I see a dot there. Hey, there's fish here. So I stopped that.
Like that's seaweed, mister.
Right.
That's a turtle.
Yeah. And that's what it is. They just, everything they saw on there, they were calling. I was like, and then they're not paying attention to anything else either.
Right.
They're losing what they're out there for.
Yeah, it's kind of like when I would go to places with my kids. I would take my camera with me and I take pictures of birds. I take pictures of flowers. I would take pictures of turtles. And we get back to the car. I'm like, look at this turtle. And they're like, where was the turtle? It wasn't on your phone. I
Right.
guarantee you it wasn't on
Exactly.
your phone.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Like
So,
it's around you. So
yeah.
the
Electronics, I think, are good when you're going somewhere new, but I'm comfortable here. Everywhere that I go in here, I pretty much am very comfortable around this area now.
well, you serve the purpose of the sonar at that point. Like you know what the bottom's like there. You know where the fish should be. Yeah, it's just basically a toy for anyone who's not versed in it.
Right, exactly.
So with the motorized system, so I have the Bixby and it's got the little remote, just like the autopilot. I would almost say you keep both remotes with you, and you turn their motor on when needed.
Yeah. See, I've thought about that, but then yeah, there's pros and cons to that. That could
Hmm.
get messy for me.
That's true.
If I have him going somewhere and for some reason I lose attention and I have to pay attention to something else and I forget about him, so, or he or she, yeah, because I've thought about that with our autopilot. I had a gentleman. I do have a lot of older gentlemen that have trouble just lifting kayaks and stuff, and he had
Hmm.
trouble, controlling the remote. Like he just had trouble. Everything was very difficult. And I mentioned to him once, I was like, "Hey, you think it'd be better if I had a remote?" And his answer was like, "F no, I don't want you controlling me around." It's like,
Yeah,
all
I
right,
can imagine that phone call to your wife.
right,
I lost another one.
right. So,
She's like, you got to do damage control.
uh,
So, question: when they go out with you, is it all catch and release, or they are allowed to take some food home?
no, we definitely keep food for people to take home as well. We follow all the regulations. Everybody that comes fishing with us has to get their own fishing license.
Hmm.
So that's money that comes into the state every time we get a client as well. And then we talk about the regulations, so they learn the regulations. For some people that are trying to fish here, which I have a lot of, like, I'd say 50-50 customers are people that are getting into kayak fishing and want to learn everything, and then there's
Hmm.
people that just come here to vacation and fish with us. um, but the ones that want to learn, I show them what apps I use. I say, hey, look, this is where you check what kind of fish. Nowadays you can take a picture of it and your AI phone will tell you what phone it is, or what uh, fish it
Species.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can just go to fish rules, for us at least, and you look up the regulations there. So yeah.
So, do you partner with any like bed and breakfast, or recommend places around?
We
So
do
if
have
someone,
we do have some partnerships. A, a lot of the partnerships that we had, those places lost everything during Hurricane Ian, like,
mm,
as well. So we've created some more other ones. We do that with restaurants as well. There's a few restaurants here that you can bring your catch and they'll cook it for you too.
mm,
Yep. So we send people there as well. So yeah, we're definitely intermingling with the local community and local business for sure. Especially with the nonprofit, veteran nonprofit organizations. I try to do something with one of them every year, and we also have a program where I take out veterans at no cost. Um,
nice.
yeah. So
Yeah, Fast says you got him hooked into kayak fishing after he did a charter with you.
yeah, that's the guy that's killing it in the redfish series now too. So he's gonna be in the, I think the finals is this weekend, I believe.
I think if you taught him to fish and he's earning money, you get a
Ooh.
percentage. No,
I didn't put that in a contract. I wish I
mm.
would have.
You break out that super magnifying glass. It's in there.
Oh yeah, he's really good.
Heck yeah.
Everybody on here that's saying thanks everybody for all the nice words.
So let me ask you this: how do you balance like fishing for fun versus fishing for the business now? Is it still opportunity to fish for fun?
I think the thing that I do is not videotape or not take pictures the day I want to fish for me.
Hmm.
Because everything else, every picture I take, every video I make, our YouTube channel has produced pretty much the most clients we have had, which was a surprise that we were not expecting. So I lost my train of thought. What was the question?
Uh, how do you balance fishing for yourself versus
Oh,
fishing?
so yeah, if I don't take pictures that day, if I don't bring my GoPro and I just fish, that's where I feel relaxed, because then I'm just doing my thing that I've always been doing.
Hmm.
That's kind of where I balance it. I have a few people that I fish with all the time on the weekends, um, and I have fun with them as well too. There's a few people that I fish with. So yes, I do find time and I still enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it.
Does the family fish with you at all? Or are they?
Yes, sometimes the wife gets out as much as she can. We have three
Mhm.
kids in the house and one granddaughter here visiting once in a while too. So the house is a busy house. Um, and we got kids in school, so right now they don't get to come out. In the summertime, they come out a little more.
Mhm.
Um, they're older, so now they just want to hang out with friends. So, but my wife gets out as much as she can. So she enjoys fishing as much as I do.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
was going to ask you or make the comment that without a good support system, it's hard to make anything like that work. So it's awesome that she was on board with it. you know.
Oh yeah.
So that's really good. So, um, what's the most memorable catch that a client
Mm.
has made with you?
I mean, one of the biggest ones that I can remember is our tarpon last year. We have a YouTube video of it on our channel there, and there
Hmm.
was, I mean, we think it was somewhere around 150 pounds, somewhere between 125, 150 tarpon, and he fought him for a good hour, and that was he did so many jumps. I was just watching and screaming the whole time, like I was a spectator that day. The video, I think it sounds annoying because I'm just screaming, but I was just so excited for him, and he'd been trying to catch that thing for a long time. So, and we were able to catch leader, and he nailed him. So that's one of the big ones. But I mean, there's a lot. Every time someone tells me that was my first redfish, like this weekend we had one that, both of them was their first redfish, first snook, first, and one of the guys ended up with an inshore slam. Right
Hmm.
there for me, that's memorable. It really is. That's the latest one I can talk about because all of them are really. And like again, what we talked about last time is that everybody that does get hooked into it, they just keep going with it now. It's insane. It's just- so
Yeah,
some people are fishing more than I do now.
yeah, I think that, like we were talking about when you said some of the people that come and see your kayaks, they're not. That's not what they're expecting when they think kayak.
Yes.
So
Yep.
you're opening them up to a whole world of possibilities. They think they're getting a roller skate and they're coming up to a hot rod.
Exactly. No, yeah. Yeah, we talked about it earlier. It's just a lot of people don't know the different kind of kayaks that are out there nowadays, and now they're even getting better. So like
Hmm.
it's getting crazy out there now, really crazy out there. I like keeping it simple though too. Like I keep balancing between one and an EPDL too. It's very convenient. But again, I don't know. I just add something else. It's pros and cons.
Yes. Yeah, like I can move faster, but they could fall out quicker.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
So, how do seasons affect you there for fishing?
For sure, that's big here. They have the snowbirds, is what we call them when they
Hmm.
come down. So for our busy seasons, pretty much starts in October and ends in like April, probably the April May ish around there. That's what I consider our busy season. With December being a weird month for some reason, that's always a slow season for us.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, but I mean, even in the summer, we get different people because in the summer the big tarpon are around, so we have people that fish for tarpon. So it just we do have year-round fishing, but we definitely get busier from October to April when the weather's great in Florida. When it's not 110 degrees like it is right now.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Are you able to fish year round? Like, are there fish there? So,
absolutely, yeah.
okay.
Absolutely. There's always something to catch. In the winter, when it gets cold and you're wearing sweaters, the sheep's heads start biting down here. And that's a fun battle there too. And the trout really get fired up when it gets cold as well down here. They
So,
we get
so you have
really
earning
aggressive.
potential year round.
Yes,
Because
sir.
I know, like, I think where Chuck's at, it becomes a skating rink. So,
Correct.
you're kind of fortunate in that route.
It is. Yeah, and that's why we're always trying to figure out how to get more people to know about us because we just sometimes people just need to know they're here. Most of the people that once they come to us, they keep coming back. So the hardest part is to let them know that you're around. It really
So,
is.
your kid says, "What's the biggest red a customer has caught with you?"
Ooh, probably I think it's like a 32-inch red.
Mm.
That's about our range here. We get anything from puppy little ones, but our biggest ones inshore where I'm usually fishing, I would say is about 30, 34 is the biggest red that I've seen around here. Of course, there's areas on boats if you go a little bit further out more towards the Gulf, you can get some bull reds out here, over 40. but kind of where I'm fishing, we don't really get the bulls over there. They don't come all the way in there. I'm usually in 4 feet of water or less. That's most of my day.
Now, is that because it's better fishing or it's better for the potential of a rollover?
No, no, better fishing.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and
Because I
that's
would
just
think,
our area. You know, most of our area is that depth. You know, there's a few holes. I'd say 15 feet is the deepest hole, and that's like in the main channel. You
mhm.
know, 20 feet on a high tide, but most of the other time we're in 4 feet or less. You know, I'm usually honestly in 2 feet or less is where they're at.
Yeah.
But they really are here.
So, what kind of people book your trips? Are they just um, any from out of the country, or any like remarkable? Like you're just like, how do you find me?
Right. The biggest ones that we've had a few people from Switzerland, Germany, and it's from the YouTube channel again. Our YouTube channel, YouTube reaches wherever. So that's the one that surprised me. But we have everything. You know, like I said, we have people that are here on vacation. We have people that are snowbirds that live down here for
Hmm.
half the year, and then they book us. Then we have people that book us every month. You know, we do have a few clients that are literally every month. They go out fishing with us. And then we have people that are new to fishing, and that's the biggest one. I get the new to fishing guys. I'll get like 1 or 2 trips with them, and then every time I start seeing them out in the launch, and we start running into each other out in the water, and then they're hooked. They're all part of it now too. So
KKOA says, is that the average 20 to 25 reds in your area?
oh, the size. I mean, yeah, I mean, we catch slot reds. Absolutely. That's the best part. Yeah, we do catch a lot of slot reds out here. Absolutely. We took this weekend, we had 2 slot reds that we definitely took home, and I'm pretty sure that they lost two other ones. So they're definitely slot reds here.
Have you ever had any clients like surprise you with their abilities? Like you make a judgment, you're like, this guy or this lady, and boom.
Right. I've had them both ways where I'm surprised that how good they are, and I've had some where I'm like, "What? You did not do tournaments. You're lying to me." You know?
I did do tournaments. They were poker tournaments, but
Right.
I
Yeah.
did tournaments. I was Go
Um,
Fish champion 2025.
there's definitely repeat clients that when I see them on the schedule, I get really excited because those guys, all I got to do is put them in the right area and they take over. You know, those are the easy ones for me. I say they're easy, because I know that they're doing everything right, and I don't have to do too much coaching. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And all I got to do is say, hey, fish that little area for 15 minutes. If nothing happens, move on, and they're all over it.
KKOA says if you're willing to collaborate on a YouTube video, give you his info. So
Okay. Where's he at? Who's that?
uh, that's Stephen Kidd. He's a podcaster as well. He's
Okay.
in Carolina, I believe, but he travels all over the country with his business,
Okay.
with his job. So
Okay.
let me ask you this. So I know that when you're in the military, you gain a certain set of skills that other people don't have, and basically it's like the adapt and overcome mindset. Do you feel that prepped you for all of the random things that might come your way on the water with people?
1,000,000%. Everything about our business is ran like I ran anything in the military. I was in the aviation field, and the most important thing in aviation field was always safety. So, when I'm guiding, let's just go on the guiding part, not the business part. But when
Hmm.
I'm guiding, I start everything with safety. When they show up there, we go over all their safety equipment. Um, for an example, this Saturday we had some lightning and thunderstorms definitely around the area. And before they came in, I was watching them on the radar. We were talking. They were catching fish, but I kept updating them. Hey guys, we got another 5 minutes and then we got to hide. And then we kept communicating. And then once we start moving towards the mangroves, I say, hey, this is the plan. We're going to do this, this, and this. I didn't go over that stuff because we didn't know that a storm was going to hit us,
Hmm.
but adapt. We had to adapt to it and said, "Hey, I have all the equipment we need to be here as safe as we can." We got delayed for about 40 minutes hiding under a storm, and as soon as it would pass, we kept fishing. I have a radio, emergency radio with me. Everybody was wearing vests at all times. You, you you can't prepare for everything, but I try to prepare for everything based on all the training that I've had. Part of my training when I was in the military was water survival training,
Hmm.
first aid. So that I feel very comfortable. If someone flips over, which we've had two of those, we've been able to take care of them, and both of them we kept fishing, and everything went back to normal. Um, it's things that happen. As long as you're prepared for them, and you have a plan, usually you can get through it.
Yeah. I feel like Megan's a little biased, but she says, best guide I know.
Oh, but she's
He doesn't just
working.
take people fishing. He creates unforgettable adventures. Every client gets his full attention, knowledge, and heart to make sure their experience is one they'll always remember.
There you go.
Heck yeah. Who's Megan?
That's my wife. Told
Ah,
you
there you go.
she's always working.
I like it. She's like, oh, I thought it was on my burner account. No. Yeah, I will say the one thing I've noticed. I was not in the military, but I could tell that basically with the things you've been through, the things you've trained for, that even when something goes wrong, let's say, your level of calm in that wrong makes it go right. Does that make sense?
I would hope that you're correct. I know in those situations I feel comfortable. I do. It's like as soon as that happens, I'm like, all right, let's go through our motions, let's go through our steps. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
agree. I don't really stress. It has to take something really drastic for me to be worried about it.
Right. Yeah.
So
The prepare for the failure. When it happens, you're like, okay, we've been down this road before, and let's just make sure we don't go down it again, and we get out of here alive.
yes,
So
absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. So, yeah, I was fishing on a dock one time, and this kid was fishing from Tennessee, caught a bluefish, and it was wiggling in his hand, and he went to push it back into his hand, mouth
Get
first,
him.
and it bit his palm and wouldn't let go. And he just didn't know what to do. And the dad was freaking out, and the older gentleman I was with, who was just he wasn't a excitable person. He just he turned around. He was like, "You shouldn't do that," and he grabbed the head, cut the head off, and it let
Right.
go. It
Right.
went right back to fishing. There was no emotion at all. And
Just
I'm
kept
looking
doing.
at, I was like, this kid's gonna lose his hand. What am I gonna do? Oh, yeah. I'm not that guy. I'm a great storyteller after it happens, but I don't think I'm the guy who's gonna be like, okay, let's just work our way through this. So
That's okay though. That's all right. That's why I'm out there on the water.
yeah, that's awesome that you've got that ability. And I could tell just sometimes we talk to people, their demeanor, you could just tell that they've got the
Thank you.
cool. I'll scream at home later. um, uh, when you've been out on the water, have you had moments that you've had to improvise? Use your skills, like just like last minute. Let's change the plan.
I mean, yeah, the biggest one is the weather days is when weather takes a turn on us, which a lot this is the time where this happens right now the most is
Mhm.
during this period. Yeah, I think that's probably the example as far as a specific one. Again, when somebody flips over, we've only had two in 5 years, knock on wood. We
Mhm.
don't have any more, but it happens. And it usually happens because the person made a mistake and we weren't eyeballing them 24/7. We took our eyes off of them for 1 second, which is what happened on both. One time it happened to me, and one time it happened to one of our guides. And he was able to handle it as well too. And that's another thing that I can touch on is like anyone that I've hired to work with me, I fish with them for at least about a dozen times. And I kind of train them without them knowing they're being trained, to be honest with you, until I tell them, hey, look, I want you to come help us. I don't just throw anybody on there. It's one of the things that I saw that I could improve on that no one else was doing here. Most of the people that were hiring people, they were
Mhm.
just getting someone that knew how to fish to guide. You need to do someone that knows how to fish, that knows how to talk to people, and that knows how to teach. I think those
Mhm.
are the three things you need to be a really good guide. And I'm still learning, every day. I consider me a freshman in as far as a guide.
Well, judging by the comments, I think you're a little above freshman. Yeah,
JB then.
JB. There you go. Working on that Letterman, that letter
there,
jacket.
there you go.
So I know that I put in there stories. Do you have any stories of anything you want to share that's happened while guiding?
There's a few of them. We talked about one already before. Is
Hmm.
one of the gentlemen, rest in peace. I used to guide. He was blind. Um, so that in itself, let's talk about that being in itself impressive because
Hmm.
I guided him a few times, and his routine was everything had to be in the same exact place. When I was setting up his kayak, he was like I knew where everything was. The ruler's here, his grips are here, his fish grips are over here, his pliers are here. But where it took a curveball on me one time was when he had to use the restroom out there, and that was a mission in itself. He was not a small gentleman. He's a bigger gentleman, and it was very hard to get him in and out of the kayak. And we were both laughing the whole time, which made it even more difficult because we couldn't believe it. And yeah, most of my stories are people having to use the bathroom out in the water. Unfortunately, that's one of the downfalls. I would say it's one of the cons of fishing out of a kayak.
Hmm.
You have to be very adaptable to using the restroom in areas that you're not comfortable doing. So that's the biggest that's the biggest obstacle. But wow, there's so many. That's funny. No one's ever really asked me that question. But I'd say those moments where we have to take care of somebody that's fishing. Obviously, dealing with big fish, those big tarpon, that's always an adrenaline rush, and that's always memorable for me.
Hmm.
Um, unfortunately, a lot of the fishes that were lost are the ones that I remember the most. Like, oh man, I messed up and didn't, you know, I didn't land that cobia, and he didn't get that picture he wanted, and that one I lose sleep over those sometimes. So yeah, I do.
Do you
I think
record
about
the
those.
Do you record the client trips?
Some of them, yeah, I've been adjusting on that, especially. This area I fish in is very small, so you watch one of my videos and you know everything.
Okay,
Especially if
yeah.
you're familiar with the area. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it depends where I'm at. But yeah, there's definitely videos on there. People have the option to tell us, and they pay for that specifically as well too. So we have some clients that do want that, and sometimes I need content, so I dump it out there as well, as long as they're comfortable with it. But the biggest thing when I do that is I keep it natural. I just have the camera on. I don't make
Hmm.
them talk to me. This is not, they're not here to be on YouTube. They're here to
Right.
fish. I'm just here to film it. If they want to talk, they talk, but I don't force them to do anything like that.
So I was gonna say, like on the client's kayak, you put a 360 camera, and then if they have a jump, then they catch the jump, they catch the misses, they catch everything, and then they just have their own memory. You can even basically say, "Hey, this is for you,
Right.
not for public consumption," because But
Yeah, and we do have videos on our YouTube that only customers can see. That it's theirs only. But that's just where I put them on there for sure.
well, that's cool.
And that's most of the people that have paid for it and only want to see that there. Yeah. So we do have a few of those.
Hmm.
But social media and YouTube is been our best friend, to be honest with you, as far as marketing. We were talking about that
Mhm.
earlier. So that's been very helpful. So we stay aggressive with it. You know.
Yeah. People like Faze or Faz talking you up. They're going to spread that word. So, um, we're coming up on the 1 hour mark. I will say this: when we first started talking offline, and we're talking about clients and stuff like that, and I made reference to it possibly being like children. And when I said that, I was thinking more of like the baby in them, what they're saying. But the more I speak to you, and I've seen the videos, I stand by the statement of the clients are like children, but it's more on the first steps feeling, or uh, the first slam dunk, the first whatever, that moment of like you're enjoying that moment with them, like almost like they're your kids. Would you agree with that?
No, I do. I like using the analogy, if you're a golfer at all, is like if you've ever golfed, I was
Hmm.
self-taught, which is a nightmare because I have all the bad habits that you could have, right? If I would have took a lesson first, then I would have
Hmm.
learned the right way the first time. When I get those guys that have never fished and those are the guys that I usually catch the most fish with me. The
Hmm.
guys that want to do it their way, that have their tricks, that do their style, those are the hardest ones to break for me. I call them the stallions because you got to break the stallion and calm them down, especially guys that come from up north. You guys like setting hooks, like you want to bend your back off. We just you don't have to do that here. We have circle hooks. But
Yeah.
I do agree. I love it, but I do because everyone, as you can see in some of the comments, which is awesome and surprising, a lot of people have obviously learned a little something, and that's the best part. They're taking a little bit of what they got. They come here, they pay for a charter, an adventure, but they take something back with them too. That's paying for itself every time you go out. So they got me cheap.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that I love about being a photographer is I get to interact with so many different types of people. Like there's just that we normally probably would not be able to do. Like I've done Nigerian weddings where it was like full authentic, and I don't believe I would have been just necessarily invited, but it was a beautiful thing to be a part of. Do
Yep.
you have situations where you meet people and you're thinking, man, normally myself and this individual wouldn't be in the same area?
100%. It's the part that I like the most about it. Honestly, it's or one of them.
Yeah.
It's meeting everyone. Like I ask a lot of questions too, because it's not like on a boat. When you're on a boat charter, you're when you're going fast, you can't talk to nobody barely. You're just moving from place to place. In
Hmm.
a kayak, when you're transiting, if you don't have nothing to talk about, it's going to be boring. Part of the experience is just finding out who these people are. And you're absolutely right. I always ask people what they do for a living. So I give my kids the advice, hey, these guys are always traveling and buying charters. You should do this.
Hmm.
And where they're from, where they've been, and we talk. It is very, I would agree that that's one of the best parts. I'm glad you brought that up because it is one of the coolest parts about it. I always tell my wife that I should get my degree to talk to people out there on the water because people tell you everything out there in 5 hours.
Oh
The
yes.
first hour and a half, they're a little they're a little shy and they're careful about what they say. But once we've caught a few fish and we're out there for 2-3 hours, they start opening up and telling me all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah. I think the more genuine you are too, they have to make sure that you're not just
Right.
a BSer. It's almost like with the youth of America, like they can see through a fake
Correct.
thing quickly. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I do enjoy that the most. And um, there have been times where, yeah, you just get in that location, you're like, man, this person is the most unique individual I've ever been around in my life.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
probably 3 days later, someone takes their place.
Yep. Yeah. No. And I've met people that know each other and
Hmm.
had no idea that they knew each other too, which is even crazier. You
Right.
know, like what? You guys don't even live in the same state. Yeah, but we knew each other from living down here. Wow. Okay, here we go. So yeah, it is wild. It is wild. I love it, and it's one of the things I miss from the military is traveling and the people. So I get the people out here now. You know.
Hmm. Yeah, that's why I like the Heroes on the Water, because it sort of gives the people back to the the military aspect. I haven't been experienced in losing that camaraderie, but I could tell when we go to those events, everyone sort of starts off their first time kind of guarded. And
Right.
after they're on the boat, they're fishing, not necessarily catching, but they're fishing, having fun. They come back, and then instantly everyone's talking about their experiences, and they're reopening the bonds, and it's an amazing thing to witness. So I feel blessed to be part of that, and I can only imagine the guiding is kind of the same way. Uh, you
Absolutely.
you're a therapist as much as you are an
I,
angler.
I'm a cheap therapist.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we're up on the 1 hour mark. Is there anything that you want to share or go over that we haven't covered?
No, I just want to let everybody know how to get a hold of us at jupiterskayakfishing.com is our website. Look us up on any of those social media. We're on almost everything. I'd like to thank you for having me on here. Everybody that said kind words, thank you very much. I appreciate you very, very much. I hope I wasn't too boring.
No, you.
Um, I hope to hear from you again, and I hope you
Oh
have a
yeah,
lot of success with all the stuff you were talking to me about, and I hope everything works out for you as well.
I
Sounds like you have a
appreciate
good
that.
plan too.
I appreciate that very much. Yes, and I'd like to thank you for your service and your wife as well. And after seeing this, I'd love to maybe one day come down, take a charter, because um, from what I've seen here, you do some great things. Um, Even just to be a fly on the wall to see things, that'd be kind of funny.
Absolutely, live, especially if you take pictures, you can come and take some cool pictures for us, maybe.
Oh yeah,
There
I
you
know a
go.
guy. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you, and I'm going to put you in the back. Say goodbye to everyone, then come back into you. Okay.
All right, thanks everybody. Nice seeing you. Nice meeting you, sir.
Pleasure meeting you. All right, everyone. That was episode 33 with Eloy Custodio. And if I messed it up now after all of this, I'm going to be kicking myself. But I think it was a great conversation. He has a awesome charter. Go to check him out at the Jupiter Kayaks and um, Jupiter Kayak Fishing Charters, and give him an opportunity to put you on some great fish. Again, this and every episode for the year is brought to you by Snake River Manufacturing. Snake River Manufacturing is making some amazing kayak trailers. Go check them out at snakerivermanufacturing.us. Give Steve a shout out. Tell him you saw him on the Kayak Cafe, and maybe he'll give you a couple bucks off a trailer. I don't know. Maybe not. So also, if you are interested, Heroes on the Water, they take care of taking out veterans and active duty, as well as first responders and their families kayak fishing, free of charge. So if you are any of those, check out heroesonthewater.org. There's probably an organization or a charter, a chapter close to you. If not, you might want to start one. Also, if you are interested in some fine coffee, Kayak Coffee has given the code CAFE20 for 20% off of their coffee at their site. So go ahead and take advantage of that. Use the code CAFE20 for 20% off of their coffee. As well, if you want to go to Nico's Art Therapy on Facebook and pick up one of these mugs, shoot them a message. They have exclusive rights to the mug and the logo. So you go pick one of those up, and all of the proceeds go to Nico's Therapy. All right. Again, this was also sponsored by Viking Kayaks US. Go check them out. They have some great kayaks, and they are available in the US market. They're great for saltwater fishing if you want to get out there and do some paddling. again, thank you for joining me. Thank you again to Eloy. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week.